أشرقت نفسي بنور من فؤادي حينما رددت يا رب.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We continue inshallah. Hadith number 233. وعن أبي سعيد الخدري رضي الله تعالى عنه قال كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا رفع رأسه من الركوع قال, that the Messenger صلى الله عليه وسلم, when he would rise up from the ruku position, we mentioned earlier on that there are many supplications that the Messenger صلى الله عليه وسلم would make in this position, and this is one of those supplications. اللهم ربنا لك الحمد ملء السماوات والأرض وملء ما شئت من شيء بعد أهل الثناء والمجد أحق ما قال العبد وكلنا لك عبد اللهم لا مانع لما أعطيت ولا معطي لما منعت ولا ينفع ذا الجد منك الجد. رواه Muslim. The meaning of which is, O Allah, our Rabb, to you is praise in all the heavens and all the earth, and all that pleases you to create afterwards. O you who are worthy of praise and glory, most worthy of what a slave says, and we are all your slaves. No one can withhold what you give, no give what you withhold, and riches cannot avail a wealthy person against you. This was one of the supplications of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. After his ruku, when he would stand up, he would recite this. And inshallah, if you look in the books of supplication, you would find many of them, inshallah. Hadith number 234. وعن ابن عباس رضي الله تعالى عنهما قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أمرت أن أسجد على سبعة أعظم على الجبهة وأشار بيده إلى أنفه واليدين والركبتين وأطراف القدمين متفق عليه. This hadith, the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam states that I have been ordered to perform sajda, this prostration on 7 limbs. And the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam pointed على سبعة أعظم على الجبهة, pointed to his forehead, and then he pointed to his nose, واليدين, his 2 hands, the 2 knees and the 2 feet. So if you total them, the 2 hands, the 2 feet, the 2 knees, those are 6, and the jabha and the nose go together. So in total there are 7 limbs that a Muslim has to have upon the ground if his sajda is to be valid. If a person, for example, is in the sajda position and he has an itch on his foot, or he lifts up one of his feet, would that be valid? Would his sajda be valid? The answer is, if all these 7 limbs were upon the ground for the duration of 1 tasbih, subhanallah, if all 7 limbs were upon the ground for the duration of 1 tasbih, then his sajda would be valid. Otherwise, his sajda would be invalid, except in the case of a person who had a valid excuse. And so, subhanallah, we see in this hadith that this sajda of salah is when we have the 7 limbs upon the ground. The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam would perform his sajda, his sujood. If he had a carpet in front of him, then he performed the sajda on that. If he was on bare ground, he would perform sajda on the ground. If he had a reed type of mat, he would perform sajda on it. There is no hard and fast rule with regards to this matter. The only people who differ in this mas'ala are the Shia, and they hold it impermissible for a Muslim to perform sajda on some sort of material, and that's why you would find them performing sujood on these stones, on these turba, on these stones from Karbala, the stones, the sand of Karbala. Or you would find them in the Haram of Mecca and Medina performing sajda on these type of reed type of carpets that they would have, and they would not make sajda and sujood upon the carpets. They must, and according to them, they must perform sajda on something from the earth. Hadith number 235. وعن ابن بحينة رضي الله تعالى عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان إذا صلى وسجد فرج بين يديه حتى يبدو بياض إبطيه متفق عليه. That the Messenger صلى الله عليه وسلم, when he would perform his sajda, he would extend his hands away from his body until the whiteness of his underarm was visible. And this shows us that the Muslim should not keep his arms next to his body, rather he should spread them out, except if you have your brother on your right and your brother on your left, and if you are going to spread your hands, you are going to cause harm upon them. In that case, obviously, la darar wa la dirar, you do not cause harm to others, and inshallah no harm would be caused upon yourself. And in this hadith it states that the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, إذا صلى وسجد فرج بين يديه حتى يبدو بياض إبطيه, he would have his palms, he would have his hands spread away from himself. In the other narrations, as found in hadith number 236 and 237, إذا سجدت فضع كفيك وارفع مرفقيك, that when you perform the sajda, have your palms on the ground and have your arms above the ground. Do not make and perform your sajda like the dog lies down. And in hadith number 237, وعن وائل بن حجر رضي الله تعالى عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان إذا ركع فرج بين أصابعه وإذا سجد ضم أصابعه. The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he would go down into ruku, he would have these spaces between his fingers. He would grasp his knees. But as for when he was in the sajda position, the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam would keep his fingers together and all of them would be pointing towards the qibla. So in the ruku position, he would grasp it around his knees with spaces between his fingers, and in the sajda position, the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam would have all his fingers close together and he would have them pointing towards the qibla. So from these three ahadith, we learn the manner and method of this prostration. That the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, number one, he would keep his hands away from his body. The whiteness of his underarms would be visible. He would keep his fingers all close together and all of them pointing towards the qibla. A question arises: should I have my hands in the alignment parallel to my ears, parallel to my temples, or parallel to my shoulders? All of them are permissible, inshallah. Whether you have your hands parallel to your shoulders in sajda, or parallel to your earlobes, or parallel to your temples, inshallah, every single one of them, the evidences for them are found in the authentic sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And also we know the prohibition that one should not have the arms on the ground like the dog does. Hadith number 238, وعن عائشة رضي الله تعالى عنها قالت رأيت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يصلي متربعا. She states that I saw the Messenger صلى الله عليه وسلم praying while he had his legs crossed. This was later in the life of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he was sick and when he reached old age. Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha had seen him sitting in the cross-legged manner, and he sallallahu alaihi wasallam was praying. So we see that if a person cannot stand, if a person finds difficulty in standing, he can sit. And while he is sitting, he does not have to always sit in the tashahhud position, because this might be difficult upon him and this might burden him. So he sits in the cross-legged position. The hikmah and wisdom in this is that it is more relaxing and there is more ease upon the body. So the musalli, he sits cross-legged in the position of qiyam. Example, when he starts his salah, he says Allahu Akbar, he sits in the cross-legged position. So this cross-legged position is in substitution for the standing. And when he wants to go into sajda and when he is in the tashahhud position, then he sits the normal tashahhud position and he does not sit cross-legged. He only sits cross-legged in substitute to the standing position. So while you recite Surah Fatiha, while you are reciting a surah, you sit cross-legged. Then when you go into the tashahhud position, you sit the normal tashahhud position. Before making your salah in the final tashahhud position, you sit in the normal tashahhud position. You only sit mutarabbi'an, cross-legged, in substitution of your qiyam and in substitution for your standing. Hadith number 239, inshaAllah. وعن ابن عباس رضي الله تعالى عنهما أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان يقول بين سجدتين اللهم اغفر لي وارحمني واهدني وعافني وارزقني. that the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he would make this dua between the two sajdas, and he would say, Allahumma ghfirli, O Allah, forgive me, warhamni, and have mercy upon me, wahdini, and guide me, wa'afini, and protect me, warzuqni, and grant me rizq, grant me my provisions. This was the dua of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam between his two sajdas. Also narrated in other authentic ahadith, the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam would say, Allahumma ghfirli, Allahumma ghfirli, Allahumma ghfirli, oh Allah, forgive me. And he would recite that and say that 3 times. So this is the dua that one recites between the two sajdas, and one should not perform one sajda, Allahu Akbar, and straight away go back into the second sajda. La, one should pause and one should mention these du'as. Hadith number 240, the last hadith for today inshaAllah. وعن مالك بن حويرث رضي الله تعالى عنه أنه رأى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يصلي. Malik bin Huwayrith رضي الله تعالى عنه states that I saw the Messenger صلى الله عليه وسلم praying. فإذا كان في وتر من صلاته لم ينهض حتى يستوي قاعدا. That he states, I saw the Messenger صلى الله عليه وسلم praying his prayer. And when he had prayed the odd number of rakats, he did not stand up until he had sat down properly. This jalsa, or this sitting, is called jalsatul istirah, as many of the fuqaha term it, the jalsa of resting. That the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, after his first rakah, after his third rakah, he would not just stand up straight away, but he would have a short sitting. And this sitting is called the sitting of ease, or the sitting of a rest. The scholars differed with regards to this matter in 3 opinions. Number 1, it is totally allowed and it is from the sunnah, and in all of your prayers, in the first and the third rak'at, after, just before you stand up, you should take a small pause and you should take the sitting of rest and then stand up. It is a sunnah in all the salawat in the odd number of rak'ats. The second opinion, it is not allowed at all. Why? They state that the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in most narrations of his salawat, we don't find this jalsatul istirah. And the third opinion, the opinion of Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, and the balanced opinion inshaAllah, is that if you need to take the sitting, they explain this hadith to mean that the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he reached old age, when he was sick, then he required this extra rest, and that's when the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam would make use of this jalsatul istirah. And so, if you are ill, if you require this sitting, then it is permissible for you and you should sit, otherwise you should not. And also, one should take note of this mas'ala. If you regard this jalsatul istirah as being part of the sunnah, and the imam does not, and so the imam does not do the sitting, should you then perform the sitting, and should you sit and go against the imam? The answer is no. Either when you are in this prayer, you should follow whatever the imam does, and if the imam does not make jalsatul istirah, inshaAllah, the stronger opinion is that you should also avoid it and you should follow the imam in this matter. And with that, inshaAllah, we have completed the ahadith for today. Next week we will complete the chapter of Salaah, inshaAllah. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. جزاكم الله خيرا. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.